Hey guys, Dr. Discoveries here. Dr. Discoveries, just in case you don't know, is a character that I play on my TV show on My Town TV. I hope you've been enjoying some of my videos on YouTube. Hope they're very informative for you and you're getting something out of them. We've talked about constrictors and some of the larger snakes. Now we're going to talk about king snakes. Okay, what we got right here. It's a king snake, and this is Oreo. Now, Oreo is a special snake. That's why they call them king snakes. Not only are they important to the environment because they keep the rat and mouse population under control, but they are also important because they keep snakes under control. They eat snakes, and that's why they call them king snakes. Now, what's kind of neat is Oreo is a California king snake. So if he were to eat a venomous snake, which they can in California, uh, his body would be able to withstand the venom of a venomous snake. Now, here in Kentucky, if he got loose from me and tried to eat a venomous snake, he's going to have some problems, okay? Because their bodies can only handle, from the research that I've done, snakes that are in their general territory. When you're out and about, I encourage people not to kill snakes, because if you kill a king snake, you're really hurting the area around you. You're inviting other snakes in. These guys are really, really important in controlling the snake population. Now, Oreo here is really neat. I call him Oreo because he's got brown on the outside. He's got vanilla in the middle, just like my favorite cookie. And I love this mark up here. He's got, let me see if I can turn him around. He's getting a little bit frisky. He's got a mark right here. It's like a spade, okay? It's like a spade. It's a vanilla spade. And I think that's pretty neat. Now, king snakes do make okay pets. However, you gotta watch them. They can get out very easily, okay? You want to make sure they have the proper caging. I prefer snake cages, but you can also keep them in aquariums or terrariums. Make sure you have plenty of room, and the lighting isn't that important with these guys. I use lighting just to make it pretty, but what you do want to have is the right heat. Now, I keep my animal shop at about 80 degrees. Most people keep their homes at about 70 to 78. 80 degrees, you want to have some hot spots in the cage, some cooler spots in the cage, so that he can regulate his temperature. See, he is a reptile. So reptiles need to regulate their temperature. When they get too hot, they go someplace cooler. When they get too cold, then they go and they lay out in the sun. Now, you know, when it comes to snakes, during the daytime when it's real hot, you can find them in the leaf litter and in the woods. However, when it's nighttime, it's best to look for them around rock croppings or roadways, okay? Because the rock croppings and roadways hold the heat from the midday sun. So that's where you'll find them. You'll find them sitting out, you know, getting warm. Now, another thing you gotta watch out with king snakes is putting king snakes together. They eat other snakes, so you gotta watch out for that. Also, you know, when you're feeding them, I've seen this happen when you feed them a mouse or something. Make sure they don't eat their tail. If the mouse somehow winds up by the tail and they get the tail, their own tail, in their mouth, they'll keep eating. And they'll just eat right up their own body, okay? So, you know, you always want to make sure that they don't get their own tail in there by mistake. Now, you see how his tongue is flickering out like that? That's him picking up particles out of the air and taking them to the roof of his mouth, where he has an organ called the Jacobson organ. at the roof of his mouth. And that organ helps him decipher whether you're edible or not. Now, I'm not edible. Am I, Oreo? But if there was a mouse here, or let me warn you about this, if you have more than one snake or other pets, you gotta watch snakes, because if you pet a pet, let's say you have chinchillas are technically a rodent. So you're petting a chinchilla, all of a sudden you go out and pick up your pet snake, they'll bite you. They'll think that your hand is a rat or a chinchilla. Also, these guys here, if I'm handling Rocky, my big boa constrictor, and then all of a sudden I'm handling him, he's going to think one of my fingers is another snake, because he can smell it on me. So that's something you gotta watch out for when handling these king snakes. A good shed is a complete shed. King snakes and other types of snakes, if they shed whole, you're doing something right. If they shed in teeny tiny pieces, something's wrong, and you may have to adjust the type of vitamins that you're giving them, or their heat situation in their containers. So watch out for that. The good pets as a snake would be like a ball python. They only get about 4 or 5 feet. Now these king snakes only get 5 to 6 feet also, but they're a little more difficult to handle. This one's pretty calm, but I got another one inside. He's albino, and that guy just, very bitey. A lot of king snakes are very bitey. So maybe as a novice or a new person to reptiles, you don't want to start off with a king snake. You might want to start off with like a ball python, which is a lot easier to handle. They only get about 5 feet, and they're just, I've never seen one bite, but that don't mean they won't, but they rarely do. This guy, however, king snakes, they do get bitey. Okay. Now, one of the cool things, I think, is that spade on top of them. Once in a while, you'll get a snake with the special marking, and it doesn't mean you want anything or anything like that. However, it's kind of cool to have animals that have their own special little marking. Okay. Now, make sure that you give them in appropriate size tanks or appropriate size snake cages. Make sure that the heat is different on one side than the other. That way they have choices on the amount of heat that they have in their tank. And if at all possible, when you feed them, take them out of their tank, take them out of their terrarium, take them to another spot and feed them from that spot. That way, every time you raise the lid or open the door on a snake enclosure, it's not thinking that it's going to get fed. Okay, make sure he has plenty of water. They like to lay in the water, they like to drink the water, and that's about it. They're pretty simple creatures, just a little bit bitey, so I'd say it takes a more experienced handler or owner for a king snake, but very fascinating creatures. All right, hope you got something out of this video. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.